are going to be more expensive, and that's not true. Food is actually staying at the same price. We are raising in Belgium more tax because with the COVID, we lowered a lot of taxes, especially about foods. So basically, bread is certainly going to be more expensive. Why? Because a lot of bakeries using gas to heat up their ovens. So it's going to affect us also. And that's something that's very sad because ingredients like to make bread, and if you have like normally in a way of surviving, or in a way like the more important, most important food ingredients, you have grain is in that water, and all the basic ingredients like to make bread, for example, because you can survive by only eating bread. All these things are getting more and more expensive. If I compare to 20 years ago, bread here in Belgium tripled in price. Tripled. It's a lot. And for people that doesn't have the money, and they already didn't have the money 20 years ago, getting even more and more and more difficult. The farmer is not winning on that, is not losing on winning on that because the prices are going more higher. It's like the big companies deciding how many a farmer is going to get for his milk or for his cow.
Same in Norway.
And then it's everywhere in Europe, I think. Still, I think like Germany is still very cheap compared to Belgium. If I'm going after bread, if I'm going holiday in Germany, the price is still like half the price compared to us, depending on base bread, not on no special bread. But the thing is that we have here in Belgium competition about supermarkets. So they are competing against each other to be the lowest in price. And because the competition is so big, the prices stay pretty low for foods. So we have a lot of actions like you can buy two plus two. Sometimes you can buy a product like a bar of chocolate, 2 plus 2 for free.
That
So
makes you luckier than us then, because we have the opposite. The oligopoly of us, that's a cartel. So our prices just go artificially up. It's just because they've gone way beyond the ceiling now that they have had to reduce it a little bit. But that's it. So yeah, I want to go back to asking you what the things, Mr. Lambo, because you said several things I wanted to touch on. But since Mehdi is here holding his hand, and he came back, so let's have Mehdi first.
I'll just be real quick because you guys both of you were making great points. I wish people would go and what I recommend do it right now after the show is go look at the purchase price parity calculators, and it will calculate for you, the basic necessities for your life, how it compares to other countries. I recommend people do that because you're going to see something that's very surprising. Is that Americans are not living as well as we think we are. We're overpaying for a lot of things. And one of the things that I wrote an article years back when I used to write, and I called it the ramen revolution. And what it was that when things like this happen, people are going to gravitate to the cheapest food they can buy the most bulk of. And ramen noodles is right there. And you're talking to a country that pushes eating healthy, that's already got an obesity problem. What are they doing? They're forcing it. They're forcing all these processed foods down people's throats now because they can't afford to eat more healthy, because that food is getting out of their price range, and it's widening further and further. And that's it. As an American, we always think we have the best life going. It's not necessarily the case. And that's and also for other countries, people of other countries as well. It's not like we don't have our own problems here and Americans don't suffer. The things that you see going around the world is our government doing shit, not the basic American that's out here just trying to survive on a 9-to-5 job. Where both parents are working out. Now they're putting in 50 hours a week. The kids are always in daycare. They come home, mom and dad only have enough time to put a microwave meal into the microwave to feed all the kids once it gets home. And then they have all their scholastic and other shit they got to do, anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So the further this goes on, I think that we're deluding ourselves, and we really need to get back to some point of reality, because, I just as an American, I just see our lives getting harder and harder. And it's not just foodness, it's healthcare as well. Sure. People pay up to 1/3 of their total paycheck in the healthcare, and they don't realize it because it comes out automatically. And what's happening now? More hospitals are closing. You are getting less and less services. You got to travel further and further distances to get the healthcare you need. And what else? You're paying more out of your pocket every single fucking year. And people do not realize it. This country could have the best healthcare system in the world, the most heavily funded healthcare system in the world, with all the access to everything we wanted in healthcare in this world, if we only chose to do it, but we don't. And that's the problem. We have people that are making decisions for our lives that only benefit them.
Can I ask
Fingers
you?
crossed.
Can I ask to all of you here? I'm not sure if any one of you are aware of it, but here's one thing that kind of starkly contrasts to the price rises that we have been discussing. And it kind of goes to, because what Mehdi, you're talking about, lower healthcare and all that, where the food is actually getting more expensive, but people still think they're doing well. And I kind of, a few months ago, actually a little bit longer, but a few months ago in particular, there were a few things that I came across that really gave me like this sensation, like the saying from the Roman Empire, bread and circus. And so if you think about, like, so have you guys noticed, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, but in Norway, prices on drugs are the things that have not only not gone up in price, it's actually gone down. And that's also the case for alcohol to some extent. Now, in alcohol, it's not that severe, but basically the prices, like in numerically, they have barely gone up like a few percent, maybe 10%. Whereas the numerical price on everything else is like 50 to 300%, depending on commodity. Which means that when everything else have gotten that much more expensive and the money that much less valuable, this slight increase in the on beer, for example, actually means it's gone down in price compared to everything else. And drugs even more so. And I don't mean like just weed or anything like that. It's across the board. And that goes a little bit back to what Mr. Lambo was asking. So, and you know, drug cartels are in the US as well. This mass migration things do carry a lot of extra baggage, especially when we're talking about organized crime units that are at such a level of sophistication and scope that the ordinary organized countermeasures basically are very ineffective, especially in Scandinavia. So one outcome of that is that many of these mafiosos that came, I don't think you guys in Belgium have had the same issues the Swedes had, but the Swedes started 2025 with the first 2 months. They had pretty much every single day a bombing attack. And it was not only like Molotov cocktails and hand grenades. There were some cases where entire buildings, several relatively large buildings taken out in a single blast, like PLO style or something like that, right? And that was gang war occurring because, and like it's many reasons. Some people would say, "Oh, it's Islamic takeover and whatever." No, the gangs were like Swedish gangs were fighting each other and whatever, but as well. But what has been the case in Norway when it comes to drugs? So, in the beginning of COVID, the several types of drugs actually spiked up 200 to 300%, even more so in some cases. And that was concomitant with two reasons. One was the shutdown, and the other one was successful counter measures by the organized crime units for certain types of drugs to come in. By a year or so later, this had started. It's not really normalized, but it went back to, like I said, the numbers were the same, but the value of the money has gone down. So the price had actually gone down, and now it's lower. It's numerically much lower than it used to be across the boards. Be it like cannabis, amphetamines, cocaine, whatever. All those kind of drugs are now much cheaper than they used to be just 5 years ago. And one of the reasons for that is because the mafias in Sweden have gotten so well established that now that they moved into Norway, they in many cases they actually just displaced our indigenous mafiosos. They simply did not have the connections to actually basically compete. So they're still there, but very often when they get their shit that they're selling to their market, it's often from the mafia, the foreigners that have now just simply displaced and taken over. And it should be noted, they're all, of course, to varying extent tied to the police and law enforcement as well. And this, I think that's like a part of the bigger plethora of corruption. Like if you think about the hotels in Britain, where they stuffed it up, they were supposed to go bankrupt, many of them, but they stuffed it up with refugees and put tax money in it, right? That's like an incentive of relation of corruption that you can maintain.
That is a globally big problem, and even you can take
and that's the same.
like a part of Europe in the past. But the thing about the drugs, I don't take drugs, so I don't know the prices. But yes, you're right. The criminality and the rivalry about the gangs raised a lot. It's part also because a lot of immigrants or became drug dealers. We have a lot of gangs, and they are not Belgian. They are all foreigners from base. Also due to the immigration problem, and it was actually because of Angela Merkel that everything rise very hard. The problem that we have in Belgium is that Belgium, and I'm going to take Holland with it also. Holland has Rotterdam, that's the biggest harbor of Europe. Antwerp is the second biggest harbor of Europe. And the government decided to go harder and war against drugs and do more control about what's inside of containers and all that shit. So, of course, there's going to be a lot of rivalry, and a lot of gang members are going to fight. So, I just joking, 2 years ago, we had a lot of grenade dropping, really people dropping grenades inside of somebody's house. And a lot of the times they threw it in the wrong house, to be very funny about that one. And we joked about it. Yeah, okay, you're busy in Antwerp again playing grenade tennis. So it's something that's happening a lot.
Is it often minors? Because in Norway we have some. When that happens, it tends to be minors.
Or more minors. But the problem is going even bigger than that. So in Brussels and the suburbs, the problem is pretty big. You have a lot of rivalry gangs, Antwerp also. But Antwerp is more like the Dutch mafia that's coming to here, taking after their drugs. So the problem in Antwerp is big, but not that big. And Brussels is bigger. They are really killing each other, using rifles, all that shit. Even gangs, drugs dealers, you need to if you like a suburb and they have like a marketplace. There is somebody sitting on the seats in the middle of the place and waiting just to say that is my territory. And the police is even afraid to do something. They have a lot of spotters. Everybody see each other. But the problem got bigger if you're watching the YouTuber looking after the suburbs that I was speaking before. I can give you a few names. You have one is Dutch Travel Maniac. So it's somebody from Amsterdam that's going in a lot of cities. And he's going to places that somebody giving him in the comments, like in the suburbs of some cities, to walk in that. And if you look like Colonia, Hamburg, Berlin, Germany, I'm going to really use Germany because the situation is very bad in Germany. If you have like Colonia, where you have the very big famous cathedral, you just go 200 meters inside of other streets, you're going to see drugs users as fuck. You just walk into a street, a guy is coming to you and he's going to ask you, do you want to have drugs? I'm selling drugs for you. It's that easy. And the police is doing nothing. So that's what I also say about lefty governments in Europe, and Germany is actually affected more by that. The government of Germany is fucking left, too left. They just allowed everything. In Hamburg, they have a big place that they designed specially for drug users. You go to that place, you're going to see 500 people taking openly drugs. And it's made for it. They're doing shit about it. And actually, in a positive way of speaking, and it's actually disgusting, I'm going to say that, almost all of the drug users, I think the higher percentage, are all immigrants, drug users also. So actually, all these immigrants are busy killing each other. You're busy killing each other. So is that the way for Germany to say, let's get rid of the immigrants? So just say nothing about the drugs, let them do, and they're going to kill themselves? I don't know.
I agree with you. That's a good, because
it's everywhere in Europe. I'm going to say, I'm not going to use Germany only. It's everywhere in Europe. It's less in Belgium. The problem that we have in Belgium, there are some suburbs like Molenbeek. What Trump said in 2000, between his first term, he said, Brussels is the hellhole of Europe. And it was actually referring to Molenbeek. Everybody that's white or native Belgium almost left there. So you're going to walk into streets where only the shops, and we can be lucky that we have a lot of Moroccans living in Brussels, and they are speaking also French. So you're going to have the shops written in their Moroccan language or Arabic, and then in French to say bakery or or something else. But if you're going in streets in Berlin and Hamburg and other, the streets are full. I mean, really full. Or shops that are not even from their own country, and everything is written in a language that we can't read. It's happening in Europe, things like that. Mehdi?
While we're having this conversation, all I can think of is China during the Century of Shame, when basically it was Europe that got addicted to opium, and what we're seeing is almost a certain type of karma coming back around to whip at us, kind of, for what we did. I mean, they're probably not even connected. One thing, though, is that in America we have a problem, especially in the state of Maine, where houses are up on the market. They'll get purchased, and what happens is they turn into marijuana farms on the inside. They say they're run by the Chinese, which I think may be the case. I don't know. But actually, one of these houses is actually right down the street from us. And I saw it get raided and busted. Wow. So, and it is a big problem up here. And it's making street legal drugs, cheaper. I mean, marijuana is everywhere here. I can go downtown to where I used to live. And within a mile radius of me, I have five dispensaries. It's crazy here. And I don't know what's changed. Is it something that was pre-planned? Because the bread and circuses is a really good way to look at it, in a way. Keep the population entertained and out of your hair, and you can do whatever the hell you want, pretty much, as long as they're fat, done, and happy. And here we are. It's kind of weird how it happens. And actually, I use cannabis, so I don't want to sound like a hypocrite here, but I have a reason I use it. But it is starting to get to the point where the kids are able to get it way too easy now, because it's just prevalent everywhere, and that's part of the problem. But the one thing I would say, though, is like the problem in Europe. I never really connected that drugs and immigrants were connected together in that way, where that you would almost be throwing getting rid of two birds with one stone by getting rid of the immigrants. You'd also get rid of half your problem. So thank you for that information. I'm really learning a lot from you guys. So.
Yeah, I can link you full of YouTubers, but actually they only show the bad parts, and they're going to say it's the capital city is very bad. It's not the whole capital, but we have really suburbs that are in very bad shape, and Germany is fucking disgusting. I went a few times to Hamburg, and luckily in the good areas, but you can't pick up a hotel, sadly, just next to one of these streets. And you want to do a walk, and you're going to be affected by this type of people, and you don't know how they're going to react to you if you refuse to something. It's dangerous. And what is staggering is that the politicians are doing nothing. Even, like I say, Hamburg, you just have a place where you can just take your drugs, and nobody is going to say something about it. And you see at least 500 people. The most famous places, and there's actually in every big city, or the train stations, they are brown as fuck. If you look, it was which city it was? Was it Berlin? I think it was Berlin. So one of the YouTubers, they had a hotel in a suburb, in a better, I'm not going to say better suburb, but so they're using the metro system to go from place to place, and there are some parts that they just don't close the barriers where you need to just scan your ticket, because they know everybody is going to jump over it and not going to pay. And these immigration zones. And then you have the touristic areas of the city. All the gates are closed. You need to pay to enter, to take the metro. But in the suburbs, they're just open. They're just open. It's fucking nuts. I think, I don't know where it was. It was in Holland or in Germany. I don't care. But there is, and there is a problem, and the biggest problem of Europe, and as the rise of the immigration and the migrants and brown peoples, or that they are fucking like bunnies. The white people are not fucking anymore. They are not making children anymore. But all these, not to be racist, but the brown guys, these foreigner guys, they are all fucking like bunnies. and they're all making babies, and they have no education at all. And we see that on New Year's Eve here in Brussels or Antwerp. There are kids of 11, 12 years old at midnight, 1 hour in the morning, burning stuff, burning cars, playing with fireworks, all that stuff. It's fucking nuts. It's staggering.
I recall that several years ago in the Netherlands. Every time I went to the Netherlands, and I was often out at night, and I would be like, what the hell is this 10, 11-year-old walking on the street often by themselves, like in the middle of the night? So I had to ask some Dutch people, and what they said, like, oh no, it's because the parents are busy making a new brother or sister, so they just send their kid out in the middle of the night. Like, what kind of parenting is that? Of course, you're going to have a bunch of delinquents. It's hard to surprise you with that kind of attitude to your children. That is actually it's not the first generation of immigrants necessarily. I mean, now we're having first generation of becoming a problem. But if you go back in time, they weren't that much of a problem as they are now. It's actually their children tend to have a higher proportion of causing problems. Just bad values replicating themselves without being addressed.
Yes.
It's a societal problem, right? Because they cannot integrate in. They don't have the education or the language, so they cannot find work. They cannot have a proper house. So many of them will turn to drugs, or do illegal work. And then this is the only thing they can do. But then but this applies to all the illegal immigrants. So all the illegal immigrants become competitor to each other. They start to kill each other. They start to do the same trade. And then, but the thing is, just like the olden days where we have no internet, nothing to do, or what. Then at night, what do? You just have sex and they just have children, and that's what they do, because they have nothing productive to do, and they just have a lot of children, and then bring them into this world where they also don't have their foundation. They also are not having the education and whatnot, which is probably why the liberal governments try to pump money to fund the education of all these illegal immigrants or the migrants, especially in the United States, where they want to pump money into to do all these things. But then the money don't even reach them because the politicians or whoever in the middle will just siphon all the money out, and it becomes like this cycle of evil that just perpetrate itself. And if they kill themselves, this liberal government also don't care. Like, yeah, that's a problem if they kill themselves,
The thing is, and that's why they always trying to take me to say like, hey, Brussels is bad. And the reason that Brussels is bad is actually all Europe regulations are a little bit like that. Here in Belgium, the only place you can go as a legal immigrant to go after asking for your papers is Brussels. So you need to go there. You need to go to Brussels to asking to be legal, something like that, or to have help. And if you've been refused and you say you're going to give you a paper, and you're going to say you need to leave the country. And what is happening? Nobody is leaving the country. So they all are piling up in Brussels. They're all piling up in Brussels. And the government is actually nothing doing about it. The problem with the Belgium system is Belgium is divided in three parts. So you have a federal parliament that is whole Belgium, and then you have three national parliaments. So you have the Flemish one, you have the French one, and you have the Brussels one. Brussels, after the last elections, they still don't have a government right now. They're in big shit. I said it on the last open mic. We have a problem in Belgium, like the police, the federal police of the part of the Flemish part is leaving Brussels. Actually, they're already busy leaving Brussels, and you're using Antwerp as actually the capital of Flanders already. So we are not going to be afraid to lose Belgium and to have it cut in three and two. Not in three, going to be cut in two. Brussels is actually being bankrupt or is going to be bankrupt. I don't know what's happening, but it's going very bad in Brussels. And the thing is that our prime minister, as I always say it, the guy is a wolf in sheep clothes. The guy is actually more far right than we're thinking. He's very smart and he has one big dream. He's not talking about it, but he did it in the beginning. The guy doesn't like Belgium. He's a Flemish patriotic guy. He's a nationalist. And the only thing he wants is to have Belgium split in two. That's the thing. But the whole problem in Europe started with one woman that said, we schaffen das. It was Angela Merkel. We allowed to have all these immigrants and we do nothing against it. We're not helping them. We are doing nothing. They don't want to civilize. and our standards and our way of living. So it gives you an image that Europe became very brown. It's actually not. We just don't see a lot of, and for myself, because city centers became so expensive, a lot of my friends, all that shit, started to move now and more closest little villages. They left the cities, and it's happening in the opposite side for more migrant background persons, starting to do business or illegal, don't care. And they are gathering there and living together. Also, they are very people. These are all living like not in gangs, but they're living all in the same community. So that's why you have places in some cities that are like only if you're walking as a white guy in these streets, you're going to be the only one. So it's pretty concerning. But stop always pushing against Belgium. Other countries are in much bigger, worse shape than Belgium, and Germany is one of the baddest, I think. But Germany is also very big, has very big cities. But almost, I just for Belgium, I can give you maybe 3 cities that are in bad shape. In Flanders, you have Antwerp is in the worst shape. Brussels as capital of Belgium. So we have a lot of other countries, people living there also. And then you have in the French part, I think Charleroi is one of the worst. But the criminality, the drugs is very big there. So you have a lot of gangs. And also we are getting French gangs doing their drug stuff here also. So in Brussels, you have a lot of gangs from Marseille and France coming to here. And we are stuck in the middle of other countries also, so we are getting everybody. And trafficking is passing by Belgium and coming to Belgium, so it's happening like that. But if you're looking to United States and for many, Minnesota with the Somalian pretending they have a daycare center, the fraud that's coming up, and it's more disgusting that the press, the CNN is just not. It's fucking nuts what's happening there. I really hope that Trump is going to do something about it. And the Somalians, it's disgusting. And it's not only about what they are doing, it's also proving that there's no control about daycare centers where you actually, as the father or mother, going to bring your children every day. If you have all these hundreds of daycare centers that are illegal, there's no control on that. Nobody went to check if they're really realistic. And you have real daycare centers where you have your children there, so you can also think, okay, they are not controlling there. Do that in Belgium. One daycare people fart on the wrong way, they're going to have the whole government checking their business to see if they do child harm. That's happening in Belgium. In the United States, you are allowed for years to have a daycare, and nobody checked if you're really existing. And that's not only about the corruption, but about the care about the children inside of that. And then you have these healthcare centers that are not even existing also. So you have Tim Walz during the elections for VC doing the debate with J.D. Vance and saying, yeah, in my state, I am busy doing everything for the citizens. We are raising a lot of money to finance daycare centers and healthcare and all that shit. And actually, it's all fake. The guy, and that is something I didn't knew, he changed the fucking flag of Minnesota, looking like the one of Somalia. Who fucking nuts are you busy? And the guy is still not in prison?
It's actually, Mr. Lambo, it's in multiple states. Actually,
yeah, I know it's multiple states, but I use one example.
Maine is a big one right now that they're starting to find out. It was coming out of Lewiston, in the Auburn-Lewiston area, where years ago when the Somalis were first brought here, they took over an entire park. It wound up becoming a violent thing where just the regular citizens from Lewiston couldn't go into the park. They took it over, and the police would do nothing about it. And Janet Mills, she doesn't want anybody looking into what's going on in Maine, but they traced it. It is in Maine. It's something to do with some big financial deal. It's like $100 million or something. I advise people, if you're interested, read about it.
Oh,
I think this year we're going to see some insane revelations.
I I think corruption scandals after each other in every fucking state of America.
But you see that the positive in the United States as opposed to Europe is that United States is now changing, is in the process of cleaning the corruption. That is the positive. This is why notice why I'm so supportive of Trump administration, because I can see what they're trying to do, and they are doing the impossible work. It's really nearly impossible to do what they're trying to do, to defeat the deep state, to kill the corruption, kill the waste, and then not to mention it's a federal system. So the corruption is at the state level as well. So all these legal hoops, is very, very complicated, and the Trump administration is trying to get there. And it's super important because, like I said earlier about the geopolitics, United States decide the rule and the law of the world. And if you have a corrupted United States, everybody is going to suffer. You're going to have insane wars like we had in the past 20 years. Iraq war, Afghanistan. We're going to have Syria, Libya. It's going to continue if United States continue to be so corrupted. And all this cleaning and this revolution within the United States is important, which is why I'm following, because if United States continue to collapse, then my country will have to decide, okay, let's be pro-China. Maybe we'll be a bit more communist, and we will kowtow to the emperor. Maddie.